started. My name is Brandy Blanton, or if you would like to call me Brandy Blanford, I will answer to that too. I will be moderating this panel tonight, which is Whose Line Is It Anyway? American Science Fiction and Fantasy Media Edition, aka the Gen V panel. I feel like we were playing Whose Line Is It? You know, whatever. I'm going to introduce myself, and then I'm going to let my panelists all introduce themselves. We're going to tell you our background, what brought us here, and then what our power would be if we were in the boys' universe. So my name is Brandy. I am an academic, and I kind of specialize in the relationship between popular culture and current events. My master's thesis was on Star Wars and terrorism. And so if you want to find that, it is on my website. Every year people are like, can you email that to me? And this year I was like, I'm putting it on a website. So a lot of fun. I love the boys. I love, you know, everything that there is to do with superhero movies, including when we kind of flip the script there. And if I had a power in the boys universe, I would be the fixer. That would even be my name. I thought about this so much. I have a superhero name. And I could fix any game of chance. So I also feel like it's very fitting that I'm sitting here dressed like a Las Vegas, you know, magician. So yeah, I could just fix any game of chance, lottery, you know, make lots of money for myself and everyone else around me. A little corruptible, but you know, sometimes that's just the way it goes. And now we're gonna go straight down the table.
Dr. Valerie Hampton. I teach medieval studies, and I also do medieval and pop culture, and I do film and things like that. And I guess a superpower would be to steal other superpowers.
Okay.
Temporarily or permanently?
Oh, gather them like Cyrus. Nice.
Oh, wow. I'm Jim Nettles. I am a science fiction, fantasy, horror, bit of this, that, and the other author. I'm also nonfiction author. I write a bunch of stuff about business, creativity, data security, depending on which me you're talking to this weekend. You know, as to which fun side or which, you know, really chaotic side I'm on. I am one of the founders and hosts and creators for the Continual Online Convention. I've got a company called Author Essential Workshops. We teach business for creatives. I've got some software we're playing with and running around with here at DragonCon this weekend. And yeah, love the boys. And part of my misspent youth is a cultural anthropologist.
My name's Ken. They found me buying socks in the back of a Target. And they was like,
were they the Gold Toes?
Yeah. They was like, you want to get in this band? And I was like, shit, why not? But yeah, I'm from a group called One More Mana. We mainly do magic related topics, but we also do anime and comic book stuff. So yeah, we do that. And if I had a superpower, I would be able to move things either to the left or the right 1 or 2 inches.
So, just at a time, and like, do your powers reset like every second, or do you have to wait 5 minutes?
Oh, no.
Like,
I can just literally do it at will. Just literally move anything I want to the left or right 1 or 2 inches.
But like, you can move something to the left very far by moving it a few inches at a time. So what's the...
Oh, that's not what I would do. So for example, if you're walking and you're going up some stairs and you know how everybody measures their movement, I just slightly move your leg to the left 2 inches and you'll trip. Or if you go for the doorknob, you try to put your key in, and then something as major as when people are trying to snipe or something, just move the bullet over 2 inches.
Yeah, I think you and I could really, because now I can get into sports betting if you and I get together, because then we can. That's our enterprise.
People don't realize how much accuracy things are focused on, and if you move it over just a little bit, you screw everything over. Like how we travel, our space, how we do space travel and everything. If you move everything over by just a little bit, you screw it up.
Well, and my superpower apparently would be remember the moderated questions.
Hey guys, my name is Mike Collins. I am a theory prognosticator and dad joke enthusiast for the Fandom Hybrid podcast. You can find us everywhere you find your podcast. We do con culture and fantasy and Marvel movies. My superpower would be controlling emotions because that's a good way. Either good, I can make you happier, or if I'm just really pissed off at you, I'll make you incredibly sad and cry your eyes out. It just depends on the mood. That was really dark. Sorry.
I mean, I said easily corruptible was fine. You know.
I call that scotch.
True.
All right, so we're gonna kind of just dive on in. So this was our first kind of foray into like an expanded boys universe. What did we kind of think about the jump from the boys to Gen V?
Oh, we started.
Really fun.
Oh,
I think it was.
I was actually kind of weirdly skeptical about Gen V because I love the boys so much. I was like, how is this going to tie into everything? And the way they tied it in was crazy. I mean, the whole season, the season finale, like I was wondering if they were going to bring Homelander in, and when they did and how they did it, I was just like, oh, that actually fits perfectly in there because of how he thinks, and you know, him treating her like she's disgracing her race and putting them in a hole. I was like, that actually tracks. Okay, yeah, I love the series. I thought the character development was really good. I can't wait for the second season and to see how everything fits into the boys season finale, boys final season. I think how they mesh is really going to be cool.
Oh yeah, I thought it was. Honestly, I thought it was a little more complicated than I thought it was going to be originally. I thought it was just going to be, you know, toilet humor, and then it's just going to run from there. But it did have a few complicated moments in it, which I was pleasantly surprised by. There were some characters that I liked. There were some characters that I couldn't stand, like Andre. I'm gonna be honest, man. I hope all his toilet paper is wet and both sides of his pillow is hot. Well, we'll get into that later.
Yeah.
Looking at it, and again, my wife hates me because I look at everything as a writer nowadays. I thought it was a fun story. I was very skeptical, right? I was expecting it to be okay, we're gonna go with the teenager humor, which we got. But I thought that it was that lack of likability of a lot of people that was kind of reminds me of when I was in high school. And looking at that, I thought it conveyed a lot of that real sort of emotional pain you go through. And then you pile on top of that, hey, great, not only are you insecure as a teenager, we're going to give you superpowers so that you might accidentally screw up and kill somebody. But the good news is you go to a special school, so it'll be forgiven, maybe.
I thought it'd be totally jokes and everything, not serious, but it was way more serious than I thought it was going to be, and from the start. So we continued to watch it.
Yeah. So yeah, I really liked it. I thought it was really interesting to kind of switch in genres. So we went from like, you know, your regular kind of superhero action sci-fi show to a, you know, high school drama, even though I know they're not high school students, right? They're college students, because some of the stuff they're getting up to, we couldn't, you know, I feel even weirder about watching high school students do it. But kind of that total kind of switch in, I think it works. And I'm really interested to see what other kind of TV kind of genres we might see in the future. I know that there's plans for, they're kind of going to do the film noir thing with Soldier Boy. I think it should be fun. And kind of seeing what we go from there.
Oh yeah, bring back more Jensen Ackles. We're cool with that.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he should have been in the DC, but we ain't gonna talk about that.
I mean, that's a whole other panel. Can we just, we'll just have a Jensen Ackles appreciation panel after this. We can invite Jared. I think he's around here somewhere.
It's gonna be a vent session.
Jared was going to get a slight appearance in the boys.
Yeah, so yeah, Jared will be in it too eventually. Which I guess, you know, we're talking about this. Is there anybody else that we want to see make a cameo in The Boys or Gen V? When I was thinking about this question originally, I was thinking, what boys characters do we want to see in Gen V? But I mean, you know, they kept talking about Tom Hanks being A-Train's mentor.
If you could give me a cursing Tom Hanks, that would be amazing. he has to make at least 2 penis jokes, and then we'll go great. I need that in my life.
So is there anybody that we want to see?
I mean, other than that, I would love, I mean, since they're doing everybody from Supernatural, I would love to see them do something with Mark Sheppard because he's one of my favorite actors, period. And I love seeing him on the screen. So any part they give him would be great. And of course, since Jared's obviously going to be somewhere along the way, I really want to see Mark Sheppard like as the new dean or like as a professor or something like that. I think that would be incredible.
Okay, everybody, this is really a backdoor to Supernatural. They didn't want us to tell y'all this. But they go get them all in there, and then they're going to change the name to Sam and Dean again.
I could see like Rachel Miner as the new secretary or something like that. Person.
Yeah. One character that I really was excited to see in Gen V, I thought we saw a lot of evolution from the character that then we kind of saw in the boys continue. Ashley, I kind of felt like before Gen V, she was kind of just there, like she was very much a doormat, and that's not the Ashley that we saw.
Which Ashley?
Yeah, which Ashley? CEO Ashley, not Ashley.
Yeah, unfortunately, she has a lot in her mind now, so
she does. Yeah, so we might not continue to see that growth from her. One of the parallels that I really picked up on between Gen V and the boys is the relationship between Shetty and the two girls, so Marie and Kate, and the relationship between Stan and Victoria. I wonder if anybody has any thoughts about that.
Between Shetty and
both Kate and Marie, and then Stan Edgar and Victoria Newman.
Go ahead.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
You just gonna throw it at me? I mean, I see why they would mimic that dynamic, because it does give that authority figure, and it always gives that mentorship role in which you need to shepherd somebody, and it also gives that angle that I can manipulate you as well.
Yeah.
So that was a great angle to throw in there. It was a little, I see it coming a mile away.
Yeah.
But I do like how that was thrown in there. But that also gets me into this. That's why I like the way the show does, is because a lot of the shows that we see, especially comic books, we get mad at the characters for being too naive. But we kind of understand that they see what's going on. Jordan knows what's going on. Marie knows what's going on, and they know the role that they're feeling, even though they don't like it. And it's kind of the question of, is it better to not know or know when it comes to these situations? Would you rather know the Matrix is real or where there's not? So that was always something I was trying to figure out during the show, like which is better, to not know or know.
Also, it's kind of it's a plot where you see how not to get killed being a mentor and how to get killed being a mentor. Because I mean, Edgar and Victoria were basically father-daughter, and he knew how to keep her from popping his head, like say the right things and show her along the lines. And it's like Shetty just. I think she just tried to do too much. I mean, it's like you're messing with somebody who can talk to you, who can change, or who can literally talk you into doing anything, and you're going to keep putting her on meds. You think eventually she's going to get sick of taking the meds, and her brain's going to get clear, but she's going to be like, I don't want to be cloudy anymore. And she's like, you have to, because it's good for you. And she's like, no. And that's it. And
to your point, she lost the plot because she was too invested emotionally, because it was like, I have this outcome, but when it came, it was like she kind of lost the point of what she was supposed to be doing over the entire project.
Yeah, because because her kids, she finally said, I'm doing this because I hate y'all. And I'm like, oh, yeah. And soon as that came out, they're like, oh, well, what's the only outcome after that? Like, there's only really one outcome after that.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, related to that, I think that what I love so much about Gen V, and how it plays with the boys and the parallels like that, is how this universe likes to play with the subjectivity of morality, and how your own perspective shapes who are the good guys and who are the bad guys. Because Shetty, like you're saying, is I'm doing this because I hate you. Shetty is Butcher.
Yep.
Hey.
Like, okay. they have the exact same background and the exact same moral framework, And if we were watching The Boys, we would be rooting for Shetty.
But
I mean, to the extent you root for anyone in this universe.
So the only thing is, like, when it comes to Gen V, and like you said, I don't think there's a lot of redeemable qualities with any of them.
I mean, yeah. On the flip side, it's like in The Boys, the main villains that we see are soup supremacists, and the story of the main characters in Gen V is the formation of a soup supremacist movement.
Exactly, and then we at least follow the audience at least is following behind the story of Huey, so we do have that gateway to that moral code, and then we can follow behind that. But when it comes to Gen V, it's like a free for all. It's like you an asshole, you an asshole.
And I think that kind of is
You're trying not to be an asshole.
downfall of like I think that to me was one of the downfalls of the structure of Gen V. It was more of an ensemble story from the beginning. We kind of got the Marie, but it was more of a like everyone all at once.
It felt like Suicide Squad on college campuses.
Go ahead, Jason.
Well, I was going to say, actually, one of the characters that we haven't dug into, and if I'm going to throw things off, I'm sorry,
No, you're good.
is Binkeroff, right?
Yeah.
Is that parental figure, and you see all of that level of respect and fear for somebody that is supposed to really be the one who is most responsible for these kids. And of course, he's the one that's helping to game the system, and we learn that. But I think that's also one of the things we see is how power dynamics are always changing in this universe amongst people who don't have powers, and they're trying to maintain control over people who could literally squash any of them with a temper tantrum, which we do get to see with him. And I think that's really a large part of this is all these people that are just trying to play their power dynamics in this universe. And I think that's the strongest point. Now, to that point, I would love to see them bring in Christopher Lambert to replace him just so there can still only be one.
Yeah, so we'll touch on another character we haven't talked about. I had it further down, but you brought up that you hated Andre, so we're gonna go right there. What do we think they're gonna do, given the really tragic death of Chance? What do we think is gonna happen with Andre? What should happen? Should we recast him? Should we recast the character? Should he die in between seasons? You know.
I think they kind of built it in when they showed how his father was losing control of his powers. I think they could just, and that is going to cause a brain bleed or something like that. I mean, they kind of built it in, so they could say that when they tried to break out, he tried to use his powers, and he quite literally blew his own brain out.
And with respect to the actor and everything that's going on, especially when you change actors in the middle of a series, that doesn't normally bode well for the season for the show as well. So I think they'll just pay respects to it and then just drift it over to another sub character. Yeah. Like, I hope they don't, but they might give it to Rufus.
Oh my god. Well. Yeah, but then we get more Rufus. He was very entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I would say there is there's an extent there where they built him up, and either he was going to have one hell of an arc coming up, or he was an early sacrifice. And I think that that's an easy one to play off at the beginning of it for that first tragic hit. And I think it's also a way of paying some respect to the actor. Because of being in a series like that, you kind of know and expect something's got to come. I think that they can get out of this without having to recast, and I don't think that would be an easy one to recast. Yeah. Because he had a lot of impact.
So I was originally in the opinion that they should recast him because I kind of felt like they were kind of doing this sort of Magneto versus Xavier thing with him and Kate, and they even had reverse powers. And I really kind of want to see that. I would have loved to have seen that kind of play out, but and then you kind of think about the human behind the actor behind the character. And so I've kind of gone back and forth as to what they should do. Valerie, do you have any thoughts that you want to share?
Not really. Okay. I think you guys covered it well.
Because it was, and like you said, it was clear that they was kind of setting up a whole brotherhood situation because his brother was clearly the Juggernaut. I mean, this unstoppable force that couldn't be put down unless you put him to sleep.
Yeah, and we haven't seen a lot of the kind of X-Men in the Boys, so it was coming, but we'll see how they kind of pivot from that. And honestly, they could still do that and use Andre as some sort of martyr for either side of the.
And if they wanted to recast, I mean, they could always come up with somebody who's got the ability to morph somebody, and that would be the way you could get away with it. But that's lazy writing.
Yeah.
They wouldn't do that.
No.
You don't aim for the cheap seats.
Absolutely not. Nobody here writes lazily. It's me. I'm the lazy writer.
I don't even use whole words when I text.
Are you there?
That's too many letters.
That's too many letters. There's too many letters.
Get off my lawn. I use punctuation.
Punctuation and 2 spaces after a period.
Yes. Yes.
Are we on timer?
So, question mark. Pizza emoji.
Pizza. Yeah, let's just talk in emojis. So this, I was rewatching this, and I kind of had this question. Very early in episode 1, when Brink dies, we see Marie go back to his office. Why do we think she's going back there? I mean, she just had, in case you don't remember, had done this monologue of like, I'm powerful, I have this power, like, kind of.
Oh, she was gonna force him.
Yeah.
She was gonna force him because, mind you, she had nothing to lose at that point. She literally came there with nothing. She was going to be sent away with her only chance to reunite with her sister. This was literally her last shot, and she would have nowhere to go. She was going to force him.
Do we think that that's something that could come back later? Like, do we think that she's easily corruptible?
Yeah. All of them are.
I mean, all of them are, but, you know, I feel like we're being set up to root for her, so.
I mean, yeah, we were set up from the beginning because, I mean, the tragic origin of her powers, where she kills her parents unintentionally, is like everybody was like, "Oh man, that's terrible, that poor child." So it's like, I mean, but other than that, after that, you know, she doesn't give the twins the credit that they deserve, and it's like she does a couple other things that are kind of questionable. So you're just like, it's just like everyone else in the boys. It's like Starlight is really good, but she was a bitch to Firecracker and did all that other stuff. So it's like all of them have a dichotomy where they do really good things or really bad things. You just have to decide which box you want to put them in.
And to be fair, like after we got the backstory of most of them had tragic upbringings.
Yeah.
Emma had a tragic upbringing. Sam, especially. I mean, who knows what he's going through with the mental state he's going through? Where he's just seeing puppets.
In my defense, he was a puppet at the time.
I mean,
yeah. I mean, look at. I mean, like Emma's power can't be. She couldn't use her power unless she purged. So it's like, that's really like another tragic origin. So it's like, how do you realize that? It's like she gets sad and purges. Then next thing you know, she's like, why are my clothes so big?
No.
I want to jump specifically off that and kind of the way we saw powers manifest in Gen V versus the boys. So one thing that kind of really shown to me as somebody who watches a lot of teen dramas, I love Riverdale. We can talk about how bad and dumb it is. It's just like a soap opera. I love it. One of the things I really noticed here was the difference in the ways that powers manifested in girls versus the boys. So the girls we see. Well, yeah, you guys jump off. What's the difference? How do we see the difference in the way that manifests?
So basically, it leans pretty much off X-Men in this way because most in X-Men, if you guys know, especially you with the shirt, you better know. And you always dress as Wolverine. If you don't, we're going to have a conversation. But is when you are hit puberty because that's when you're at your most highest emotional state. So we see when Marie gets hers, she's going through a very personal situation, and I'm pretty sure Emma was being abused by her mom because she was doing the whole pageant thing and she had to force herself to purge. So her body naturally reacted to that and was like, okay, if you want to get smaller, I will help you get smaller.
Or she felt small mentally, so that kind of manifested in her becoming small.
Which is why when she eats, she gets bigger because it's like, okay, now you want to feel full and you want to be healthy again.
Yeah, you want to feel like a bigger person.
Well, and I think that there's a lot of symbology, especially I think even more in this series than the boys, about how the powers manifest, what their costs are. I mean, when we look at Emma and that notion of binging, purging, and being, the pageant, that is all about eating disorders and the costs of that, and showing that effect on young women.
Yeah, and Marie was self-harm.
And
yeah.
right. And then, you know, that notion of, oh, okay, your power comes in when you're menstruating the first time. And your blood power, and if you look at the symbology of blood and blood magic and that notion of life and your power and how much you have the ability to do is directly tied to how much are you willing to give of yourself and your life essence to do something. And so that I see them setting her up for you've got to make the ultimate sacrifice by draining yourself entirely. But then it's like, wait, I don't need to use my blood. So, you know, that can become a nice little way to go to become a mass murderer, to be able to leverage your power to still stay intact.
And even the way that her blood actually reacts to, because it's like you say, it's literally a physical reaction that's happening to you. So it's like you're in pain, something is hurting you. Let me shoot out to whatever it is so I can get it off of you. So it's literally a response to whatever stimuli they're going through at that moment.
Yeah, and I love the realization when she was talking to Victoria and they realized that they have the same exact powers, and you're like, oh.
Yeah, they use them in such different ways.
Yeah.
So, like, there's clearly a medical application to Marie's powers.
I will say that they did mention something in Gen V that I don't think they realized in The Boys. So when Huey was hiding in the ducks, why couldn't she sense him through his blood up there? Because she was able to take Marie's power because of the way of her blood. And I'm sitting there like,
but she was actively doing it.
Yeah.
okay, I'm gonna let
It's
you go.
the John McCain plot armor of crawling through the.
Maybe she didn't care that he was there.
She didn't have her blood radar on.
Yeah.
Y'all didn't know.
I'm just saying. I mean,
Valerie, I like it. So one of the things we've not really gotten an explanation of is how powers manifest and why based on Gen B. Is it because of the trauma you encounter when they manifest? Something like that. And so Valerie, based on kind of the way you look at things, how do you think these powers manifest and why do they get the powers they get?
Well, they visit. Some of the powers, like you're saying, people were saying, are based on what they have experienced, but other ones, I think, like the ones the guy wants to be like his father, so he gets the exact same power as his father. So sometimes it's what the guy wants to be, so he becomes that.
And I think that really, I think it is what is important to you. And I think that also holds into The Boys. And I had this theory early on in the last season. I know we're talking about Gen V, not this last season, but I'm gonna bring it up because it's relevant. I had this theory early on that I was like, I think Butcher's seeing Becca because he's haunted by his past.
Or he's crazy because he took dope.
Maybe.
I mean, you put smack in your brains. I'm not gonna just sit there. Oh, okay. You see a floating donut.
He wasn't seeing donuts. He was seeing people that he knew.
The
That
one
was haunted by their death.
The one I don't get is the Resident Evil one.
Oh yeah, yeah. Don't ask me to explain. Kind of where that power came from. Yeah, Victoria Newman's kid. Yeah. How did we? Let me figure out how I want to phrase this question. Were there any really important kind of additions to the boys' mythology that we got this season that you think are going to be important in the future? Whether that's maybe the boys, the orphanage.
Well, one thing.
Well, I think it's good. The important thing, especially when you see in the season finale, how Kate and Sam are a devastating dynamic duo.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be something that is going to be trouble for everybody going against. I mean, it's already open season on people because Homelander's basically in charge. So it's like those two together. It's like he holds people. He basically can hold anybody off, and she can control anybody. So it's like that's just insane to think of what it's going to be for in the future.
Well, what stands out to me is the level of control that the facility has. Yeah. Because you got to remember, there's a lot of powerful supes out there, and they're too afraid to come out and say anything about the facility or even mention it. I mean, Andre's dad was like, you need to shut up, otherwise they will kill you. Yeah. And as strong as he was like, look, you just need to just let this happen.
And not only was he like physically strong, like he had, you know, as polarity, he had some like social pull in the same way that Starlight has in the boys, but he was like, it's not worth it.
Yeah, and if you think of that level, it's like how much contacts do they have, and does that actually spread out past that into the boys, where that facility may actually come up again?
Well, I think the Wood is probably one of the things that we really have learned is a lot more about the research being done and seeing how really nefarious, I would say, that kind of lab research is being done to be able to get Gen V out, seeing kind of the experimentation on kids and seeing them go and say, yeah, this one's just a little too much to turn loose, and we want to understand more why.
Yeah.
And what Homelander went through when the boys is shadowing what they're showing in Gen V.
So we think maybe it's like an overcorrection. They're like, you know, we now have this problem, and we have Homelander. He's a problem. What can we do about it?
Well, in the comic books, they already had a solution to that.
Yeah.
We're not.
But
well, I view Gen V as a lighter version of certain aspects of the comics where they had the same facility. Yeah.
But
things that we're covering.
But like Homelander was called before, he was called bad product. So when you go in and you test and you refine the product and make it better. But I think one of the more troubling things is that they had that many people down there and nobody knew that they were missing, nobody knew they were gone. So the fact that they would do something at that scale and that much money that was filtered into that should let everybody know how strong they are. And does Vought, and Vought clearly knows about this, how connected are they to this entire universe?
I would have to think it's Vought.
Yeah, I think it's Vought.
No, I know, but it's like, we don't hear rumblings about this at all, and it's like a Katniss level security, high level security thing.
Yeah, I mean, because Vought's already paid so much money to the parents, if they had parents, that is like they can pretty much hide anything. I mean, and also for nothing, little subject change. I started to feel sorry for Maria's parents, but then I was like, you know what? If you inject your child with V, you get what you get. I'm sorry, you're a terrible parent.
And that's another thing that's not even brought up, which I was surprised that all the kids didn't actually go back to their parents and like, why did you do this to us?
Yeah, because the only mention of that was when Shetty was like, I didn't have any suicides on campus when that happened, which I thought was really interesting, and it clearly has colored their relationship. Particularly, we see that a lot with Emma and her mom. Yeah, anything else there, guys? All right. So I had kind of, I wanted to talk about Kate, too. Did anybody feel like that was really a plot twist? That she was involved in the cover-up?
No.
It made perfect sense.
Yeah, if you're going to have something that massive where you're manipulating to somebody at that scale, you're going to need an empath of some sort. That's just par for the course. It's like, as soon as I saw her ability, I was like, yeah, you into something shady.
Yeah. I mean, because that's such a powerful power to have to alter someone's mind. It's hard to be. I don't think you can really have someone with that power be totally good. It's like, because they're going to be manipulated one way or the other to use their powers for nefarious means, or to deceive people, or to make people forget something happened,
or even accidentally.
Yeah, but the very existence of the power itself is for you to go against somebody's free will. So, like, the only way for you to be able to use that responsibly is not to use it.
Yeah.
And my thing is it even an active choice when she uses it? So, like, if I touch Valerie and I'm like, Valerie, you should drink that bottle of water. You know, you look thirsty. You should drink. Like, is that, even if I just think that, is that?
The first couple of times I would say no, but then if I touch my sister and like go eat at Hardee's and then she's eating a double beef and cheddar, I'll be like, okay, I'm a horrible person now.
I mean, it's like you say drink that bottle of water. It's like, okay, now drink another one. Okay, now drink another one. And it's just like so you can't help yourself but try to see how far you can go with that power. Yeah. It's like, you know, you want to see anytime you have something like that, you want to push the limits of it. It's just a natural thing. have to see how far you can make this person go before you have to make them stop. And sometimes you don't make them stop, and you become like Shetty.
Yeah. Awesome. Any other thoughts? Yeah.
This is just going back to you mentioned Newman's daughter and trying to what do her powers symbolize?
Yeah.
Trying to grasp at straws for symbolism of Newman's daughter's powers. Newman's daughter is a cute little girl who literally turns into a disturbing monster, which is figuratively what her mother is.
So, like, she thinks of herself as a monster because of some of the stuff that she's seen, maybe?
Well, I mean...
Well, if her mother hates soups or doesn't like soups, and her daughter is one, she would see herself as a monster.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's definitely it. So we've kind of touched on a lot of the major characters, but we haven't talked about Jordan. So we see a lot of strife between, Jordan and their parents. How do we think that Jordan is going to continue to play into the story?
I think they're going to be themselves. They broke away from it, and you see them change as they want to and be themselves in front of them.
I think Jordan is going to they're going to have to find their own path and find that it's not going to be through this establishment, that if they keep trying to play with these rules, they'll always find themselves in second place, because even when they know where they stand in the pecking order, and they can't get away from that.
Yeah, I think if they had established a really good first step into finding themselves when they switched in front of their parents at the ball, and I think that's one of the more important things that they've done. I also think that don't shortchange the relationship between them and Maria. I think I actually ship life and limb out of all three of them.
Oh yeah.
but at the ball, I saw that more as an act of rebellion.
Yeah, but it's also her is rebellion, but it's rebellion and being more comfortable being who they are instead of her parents saying, "Don't do that, hide that." So she's like, "I'm not going to hide it. They're like, I'm not going to hide it. This is who we are. This is who I am. Who we are."
And I think Jordan's character is extraordinarily important, because all of them, everyone we see in this universe, has a problem with their identity. Because am I this person? Am I this power? And I think that seeing that visibility and that absolute kind of question of who am I, and being able to see it that visibly, is important, to be able to see that question of, I am both of these things. I am both of these people. And physicality is not as important. But I think that there's so many things where Jordan is symbolic of so much in this universe. And I think that the Jordan character is kind of that frustration that ties it all together in a lot of times. Which one am I? Who am I? And how do I fit into this world?
Yeah, everyone else is wearing this mask of who they believe that the school wants them to be. So it's like, okay, I need to be the shining star, or I need to be the quarterback, or I need to be this, that, the other. And with Jordan, it's like, I am what I want to be.
Yeah, even on your jacket, on the back of the jacket, just displays symbols that mean exactly what they are.
Yeah, you're good. I feel like Jordan responds to all pronouns. So you specifically said Jordan was always second place. And that really struck me as an interesting comment, because I think maybe of the main characters, Jordan is the biggest rule follower.
Yeah, because if remember, and to dangle hope in front of someone is the worst thing you can do, because even though they had some of the best scores and were in the best power set and everything, always going to be second, even after the new rankings, even got pushed lower and did more to save the school than anybody. And it's like this, and then it was like, no matter what I do, it won't be respected. It won't be looked at as admirable. I know where I stand in this pecking order. That's why you got to get out of the pecking order.
So because with this conversation, do we think that maybe Jordan is the most likable character, most redeemable character, the one with the least amount of flaws?
I like them the best.
You like them the best, yeah.
I would say the most secure in their identity.
Yeah, which is interesting when we think about you know, exactly what Jordan's power is, the ability to switch between genders.
I don't know. I think Emma's probably for me is the one that is probably the most redeemed. I don't even really think she has anything to be redeemed for. It's like, because I think she's the most not straight and narrow, but just the one who's more apt to do good things.
More selfless.
Yeah.
So when it comes to her, when it comes to Emma, she was more of a people pleaser than anything, which kind of bit her in the butt. She wanted to please her mom, and if I did whatever mommy said, I'd be okay, no matter how I feel, whatever. And then when she made the friend, I can't remember her name, the social media girl.
Yeah.
If I do what she says, then she'll accept me in the in crowd, and I'll do whatever she says. And even with Marie, when she joined the new rankings at number one, was she number one? The new number one. Okay, she was more of a people pleaser, and then when it came to Sam, she's like, okay, I can protect you now.
Like even when she took the guy back to her room, and he wanted her to shrink in order to like, he's like she could have just told him to leave, but she went and did it, and it's like that's like the epitome of people pleasing. Like, instead of just saying, I'm not going to do this because this harms me every time I do it, and it's really hard, get the fuck out of my room.
And it's not enjoyable.
Right, exactly. She's like, just give me a second. I'm just like.
But everything she does is a detriment to herself and her own safety.
Yeah.
So in that respect, do we think she's kind of like this series is Huey?
Huey is just God. That poor thing. Like
that sums it up.
It's something that you got to be able to donate to help him.
I think there's one thing important there with Emma as well is we see her shrink. That's what she's known for. But the one time she lets loose, she becomes a giant. She could be a force to be reckoned with, but doesn't want to be seen. She wants to be accepted. But realistically, if she fully embraced the power, she's got the capability of literally, potentially even moving mountains. It'll be curious to see how big she would actually get. Now, the physics in my head, that's what drives me nuts. But we see her as somebody who could embrace a tremendous amount of power, and instead what she does every time and what she's known for is to give up and surrender that. And I'm wondering in season 2, if we will not see her trying to step into that power instead of trying to shrink down so much, it's going to be, hell no, bring on a keg and a pizza.
Yeah, because if she feels more powerful, she'll be big.
Right.
But that's also expecting her to step into that leadership role. And she, as the show is established, she is a constant follower.
Yeah. So maybe that's something that we'll see like season 3 or 4.
So I noticed that you guys all mentioned that the compound V sort of brings a I think, therefore I am type of power to whoever the beholder is. So with that being said, since a lot of these people in Gen V, well, all of them are mostly injected with the serum, do you think that it affects the body in a certain way? Like, how do you think the compound really works for them? Because you see you mentioned it earlier, how Butcher had a kind of change in his powers. Do you think that that could also be because of a shift in his mentality?
Yeah, on some level. So you're saying like how it affects them on a cellular level?
Yeah, so basically like how Emma is always feeling small, but the one time that she lets loose, she gets big, which usually, like, when you compare it to different types of powers that you see in other heroes.
So what I believe is happening there is like there may be like, use X-Men again, secondary mutations. So there may be abilities that they don't know that they have because they've never had to use them. So when it came to Emma, she would never eat, so there will be no reason for her body to react that way. And when it came to Butcher, his whole mentality is, I need to be as strong as Homelander. So what did he do? Get the exact same powers as Homelander. That was his only way of fighting back. So then when it came to the end of the season, he was like, okay, I just need to be able to just mess stuff up. So boom, that's what you got.
So you think that
it also works kind of weird on the dying though too, and he's dying, so it's kind of affecting him weirdly.
Yeah, but was also not. He started on that with that other serum, which is kind of like, okay, what mentality am I in when I take this hit? Because you could see that juice up, and all right, what level of crazy do I want to be today?
Not to mention, he also pushed Compound V like more than, I think he pushed it more than anybody else. So we don't know how much that stuff in that quantity will affect on him, because he was just taking it back like shots at a keg party.
Yeah. One thing that with Butcher, I saw this fan theory that the V may potentially, we may find out that it ends up causing brain lesions and brain tumors, because we see that both in Butcher and in Polarity. Do we think that's going to be the case, or do we think that's just drawing connections where there aren't any?
I think it may be a leap. I get why polarities might deal with him, especially when you're messing with magnetism and that much with your brain chemistry. It could potentially lead to like cellular mutations and causing you to have that. And Butcher's just a giant hemorrhoid, so.
I think it definitely depends on the power, because I mean, if you like, let's say you do something that accelerate. Look at A-Train, like he took it and he accelerated and his heart burst. So it's like, it depends on like if your power has something to do with the mind, then it's your mind, et cetera, et cetera. So it just depends. Like Butcher's power, he really didn't have power. He just had rampant cancer. So the rampant cancer got elevated.
Sorry. No, I was going to say, because one of the things I've wondered watching it, and this is again writer me going and saying, well, I twist it that way, or I could twist it that way, is what I've kind of wondered with the Gen V, as you know, is whatever it's activating, right? Because we've got to make some assumptions about how it works. Again, I think that there's a degree here of, depending on what your powers are that manifest, as to what kind of physicality what kind of damage it would do. Like, it would make sense if, you know, for Starlight, right? If you're radiating a lot of stuff, I could see cancer popping out all over the place, or I could see lesions and skin. And I mean, so she's got to have, you know, like a lot of them have that healing power and that capability. But how much of this is you take this damage, you get to heal, but you get scars? And yeah, I think one of the things that we see here with Butcher as well is he's the one character we see who does not care if he lives. He has no desire to live. He has a desire to accomplish his mission at all costs, and his body is anticipating, I'm going to put you in a shape where go accomplish the mission, because now I'm putting you on a time clock.
Like giant penis guy, prostate cancer.
I was just gonna say, this is a weird parallel to draw, but I'm a little bit reminded of how in the Lord of the Rings universe, like the rings that Sauron gives out amplify whatever you value the most.
Okay.
Yeah, I see that. I can see that too.
Is that the one with the dragons and the throne?
Oh my! I think there might also be laser swords.
Yeah. You should not pass third grade or something like that.
All right, I'm going to open the floor to you guys if there's anything that you want us to touch on. Yes, my friend there in the M hat.
Since Maria's parents had their children injected with Compound V, what about the sister who hates her older sister for killing her parents? Do you think we'll see more of her in season 2? And
Absolutely.
Can you kind of speculate what may her power base be?
I don't even know.
So I'm assuming she's gonna show up somewhere at Gordon.
Have they even determined that she was injected?
Well, the parents, it's kind of been said that the parents the parents are getting their kids injected with compound
Well,
V.
because the writers could be lazy,
Yeah.
her powers just might be the antithesis of her sister so that she can combat it.
Well, I think it would be really interesting.
Well, that probably would be the case because since she hates her sister,
Her
her powers
are
will,
better, so
and
she can
we go on the basis that it develops on your need or whatever going on in your life at that time. That could be a possibility. That
Well, going on the fact she's younger,
yeah,
and probably had not manifested her powers at that point, so she's got years of being an orphan and hating her sister and everything else.
Yeah, that could all
I
build
would
up.
anticipate that whatever powers she has, if she has any, would probably manifest, and I could even see maybe it's something that tries to take away the power of people.
Or even if it's the same, I feel like, because I think something that would be really interesting and could lead to a lot of character tension is if when her powers manifest, she can control them. And so she blames her sister for not being able to control them, because even if she does have the same powers, she was prepared.
Honestly, I think it'll be something along the lines like controlling oxygen so she can actually pull the oxygen out of the blood or something to that level, but yeah.
I think it'll be really interesting to see what happens to her sister. Yeah.
So this is an interesting one. Could Kate influence Homelander? Because like all of Homelander's powers that we've seen are physical, or like the most mental ones are really sensory, like extreme hearing. But he doesn't have any mental powers, and all of the powers that we've seen him be resistant to, like Newman's powers, are physical powers. Like
Well, if she's lactating, she's got a better shot of getting clothes.
Yeah. To be fair, most of the humans have been manipulating Homelander, so it's safe to assume that her powers will be able to do it.
I think it's really interesting because you said that, and I'm thinking, like, how much exposed skin does he have on his costume? None. His head. So do we think he's going to come back? What did you say?
Oh no, because he's got gloves.
He's got gloves on. Do we think he's going to come back with a helmet so that he's like his own little like
Magneto.
Magneto helmet so that she can't touch him at all? There's no chance.
If he comes back with a Judge Dredd helmet and goes, I am the law.
Yeah.
I am the law.
That would be awesome if he did that though. Like, and him and Butcher faced off, and he said, "I am the law," and Butcher's like, "Yeah, what?"
That was pretty good.
All right. Anything else?
Damn it, Homelander, I'm only a doctor. Oh, we doctored across all universities now. Excuse me.
Sometimes I think about that when I rewatch, and I look at Butcher and I start thinking, this is Dr. McCoy.
He's also in Lord of the Rings. I know what you're talking about.
He was also Judge Dredd.
He's also a Power Ranger. I made that one up. So you nodded it.
I'm just doing like this, but I know.
Also an Asgardian, I mean,
He was an Asgardian.
Yeah.
He crossed all over. Wait, does Carl Urban have buddy? He got buddy.
Or is he just not asleep?
So this is an obvious question, and it's also a dumb question because it's nothing but blind speculation. But at the end of the show, the box with no doors, where are we, and how do we think they might get out of there?
Emma.
No, I think that like we said before in the beginning, this is the way that they're going to be able to conveniently get rid of Chase, because I think Chase will be able to get them out of there somehow.
At the
But at the expense of him getting a brain bleed and not living through it.
Yeah, that.
Like you'll see them walking, probably wandering around trying to get somewhere, and they'll encounter maybe Starlight. Starlight says, "What happened to you?" And she's like, "He got us out, but he didn't make it," and that explains it. I think that's one. I mean, because obviously they have. It's just like in season 2 when Maeve was in the room and they turned the lights on and she couldn't use her powers. It's obviously there's something like that going on. So maybe there's a power outage where the lights go off or something happens where he can use his powers temporarily. Like he'll only need like 4 or 5 seconds really to crumble the walls of whatever cell they're in, and once he does that, and that's it.
think we're just going to go ahead and wrap it up. As we go down the table, feel free to let everybody know once again where they can find you, if they can find you anywhere else this weekend, if you're on any other panels. Hello again. I've been talking the whole time, but hello again. My name is Brandy Blanton. I will be moderating and on several panels this weekend. My next one is actually at 10 a.m. on the kids track. I will be doing a family disaster planning session. It's actually gonna be very fun. That title sounds very boring, but I promise it won't be. And I'll be talking about ghosts behind the curtain in the theater. Again, just like James, I have very many sides, and it depends on where you see me. And then I'll also be talking about The Last of Us versus The Walking Dead, and then if we can afford a world of heroes and villains, which is in 301. I'll be doing that on Sunday. You can find me on my website. All of my social media and such is in there. Just some final things from the track. Make sure that you rate this panel. Let them know what you think about me as moderator, the panelists. If you loved it, this is the Gen V panel. If you hated it, this was the SpongeBob sing-along. And
if
also,
you didn't like it, just lie.
yeah. And also, the track is raising money for the charity this year, the Arthritis Foundation. If you are interested in doing that, there's a table there at the back. So Valerie, wrap us up.
I'll be at the Pro panel in horror tomorrow. Dead Boys panel, and Beacon 23 on Sunday.
Awesome.
Well, I'm getting ready to leave here and go back to the Fantasy Gather over at the Hyatt. So if anybody's interested in books, we got a ton of authors over there, signings, all kinds of fun stuff going on till midnight. Tomorrow at 11:30, I've got 50 Years of John Carpenter. Then 1 o'clock, I've got Marvel's Echo. At 2:30, I've got Insurance Rates and Privacy in the Era of Drones, Satellites, and Data. 7 o'clock, I've got IP Here, There, and Everywhere, Intellectual Property. By the way, I cross a lot of tracks. So far today, I have taught 2 workshops on business for creatives and side hustles, and then I had a panel on, what was the panel?
Memory engagement.
Yeah,
memory engagement.
This is where your powers to remember
It was
come in handy.
AI and the elections. That's the one I just left. Then Sunday, I've got Monstrously Funny, The Addams Family, and the Munsters. 1 o'clock, I'll be doing Disenchantment. 4 o'clock is Steamboat Willie and Tigger, exploiting the public domain and IP again. And then Monday morning, I'll be doing Sci-Fi Classic Roll Panel. I'll be doing a book signing over at the America's Mart in 3102 from about 4 to 6:30.
Okay, again, my name is Michael Collins. I will be teaching beginners cooking at the local Fuddruckers. How did you know?
He'd be good at it. He'd be really good at it.
I think I would, you know, sear for 2 minutes, then flip it. But my next panel will be Romancing the Cape, I believe. I don't know. I don't know where I am right now. But we're going to go with that for now.
Again, my name is Michael Collins.
One of us is lying.
Tomorrow I'll be exploring the world of Warehouse 13 in Cortland. I'll be doing Deadpool Wolverine in this room, and then I'll be doing the Ghostbusters panel in the West End tomorrow.
Awesome. All right, thank you guys for coming. Thanks for being a great audience. Have a great rest of your con.